Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode here of Knight Brothers Commentary. Matt and I are back in the saddle, aka our squeaky chairs here in the studio, to bring you another series in the MCU, another episode related to Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've been kind of dragging my feet as far as watching all the episodes, but just rounded out watching Hawkeye, the full season. I binge watched the whole thing today. So that we could jump on here and get you guys an episode to kind of keep up with all the new content and storylines as it relates to Marvel. So, Matt, with that, let's go. Hawkeye, the TV series.
Yeah, for me, this is actually, I want to put it around the same pedestal as like WandaVision.
Okay.
Or maybe like somewhere in between WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I would agree with that. Yep.
The overall plot is, I guess, it's kind of bare bones, really. I mean, it's kind of very stereotypical for a superhero TV show, really.
Yeah.
I would say the writing is actually not that bad.
I didn't think the writing was bad. I do think the plot was a little benign.
Yeah, it was very unoriginal. Yeah, it was very predictable, very unoriginal. But overall, the execution was very good.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeremy Renner really kind of stepped it up, I think, in this show.
I totally agree. I thought the chemistry amongst the actors was really strong. What was the gal's name?
Kate Bishop.
Yeah, Kate Bishop. Whoever played her, I know the gal who played her. I think is like a singer.
Is she? Because I really don't know much about the actor that played, actress that played Kate Bishop.
Yeah, but regardless, I thought the chemistry on screen was really good. I struggled with the plot just from I felt like they almost tried to do a little bit too much in terms of you had the Hawkeye and Kate Bishop storyline.
Yeah. Kate
Bishop with her family. You could obviously tell that her mom, Eleanor, was
like a little shady.
Yeah, and you got that from almost the jump. I mean, their relationship was challenged early on, and then when we sort of fast forwarded to the present state that the film took place, she comes out in that red dress, and it was almost the foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Like I was watching with Nikki, and I said, this is, they're painting her as sinister right now. Something's going to happen. So I just felt like they tried to do too much between Maya and, everything that was going on with the Kingpin and the tracksuits, all of that, and then Kate Bishop, and then you throw in, the whole Natasha Romanoff with Yelena and that. I mean, it seemed like that.
It definitely felt a little bloated.
Yeah, there was just a lot going on. Again, action sequences.
I mean, they were really good.
Yeah,
they really were.
And Jeremy Renner, I thought, did a good job. I mean, it was very compelling. I mean, he's, you can tell he's very conflicted. Just in terms of
basically what he did as Ronin, and also like just trying to maintain his reputation, and also just wanted to kind of lead the superhero life. I mean, you really got the sense that he was just trying to leave all of this behind.
No doubt, and I think there was no part that was more telling to me, at least as a viewer, than when he talked about how he was used as a weapon. That somebody else was aiming him, so to speak, and
that someone being S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and setting him on these missions, but he just felt like a spoke in the wheel, or whatever you want to call it, whatever analogy you want to use. I mean, he felt like he was a pawn.
Exactly, yeah.
And that was very telling, because really, if you think about the MCU and what we've seen so far, we didn't really have. We haven't taken that big of a deep dive into the Hawkeye storyline.
I mean, we really haven't.
Yeah, and that's where I thought this did a good job. It made you feel like you could connect with the character a little bit more, understand where he's coming from. I think what stunted the plot a little bit is that at the end of the day, his superpower, right, is being a phenomenal archer.
Yeah,
and I just feel like with the scope and scale that we've seen them take on with other superheroes, whether it be Captain Marvel or Thor or Iron Man, it's how do you make that feel big? You know what I mean? How do you make that feel superhero-ish?
Yeah.
And
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, the way I see it, I almost kind of compared it to Daredevil in a way.
Okay.
It definitely had that kind of feel, like that small local feel to it.
Yeah.
While also trying to really kind of it tried to make it feel big, but it really just had that small local feel to it, like most of the other Netflix heroes really do.
It definitely did. I mean, listen, it transpired over basically a week's time.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, they released this series right around the holidays in real life, so it was kind of a play on the holiday theme and bringing all that into it. And again, I thought it was. I mean, listen, I was entertained. It just from a plot perspective inside the MCU at large, I feel like
it just doesn't feel as relevant as other projects.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't do anything to drive the story, in my opinion. I mean, other than the fact that, like, obviously you're going to get the Kate Bishop, version of Hawkeye or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, because the way the series ended, it definitely seemed like she's going to be the one to take over the mantle.
Yeah,
like for future Marvel stuff.
I actually thought Yelena might kill Jeremy Renner, or, Hawkeye at the end of the film. I thought there was a chance, in my mind, there was a chance that, okay, Jeremy Renner's been doing this for how long?
Yeah.
They just...
I mean, he's been doing it since the first 4 movie, phase 1.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like, I thought maybe it was a true passing of the mantle and they were going to retire that character. Now, they obviously, that's not how it played out. I still think the mantle's being passed on to Kate Bishop. And she was entertaining, compelling I thought her action sequences were very compelling.
Yeah.
And she had kind of a quick whip sense of humor.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that really kind of bothered me about her fight scenes was that I'm not really sure if she's just that good or if Yelena wasn't really trying. Because to me, I felt like it was more the latter. Yelena really just wasn't really trying.
They tried to build Kate Bishop up from the standpoint of, state finalist of the fencing and the archery and the black belt karate and all that stuff. I mean, they tried to build her up, but Yelena's in a completely different category.
I mean, she really is.
You're not the Black Widow program is a little bit different than competing in a high school or college, karate tournament, so to speak. So the fact that she was able to go toe to toe with Yelena, I think, was more, to your point, maybe Yelena just bringing her along, or doing enough to make it believable. Yeah. Because her beef wasn't really with Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
She was there.
If anything, her interactions with Kate Bishop were actually pretty funny.
Yeah, it was great. The mac and cheese. Yeah. They had kind of a funny little, and listen, they're, in a way, I don't want to say there's a lot that they can relate on, I think, in terms of, troubled childhood, not having parents. Obviously, we saw Kate Bishop had a great relationship with her dad, who was killed. Yeah. And then, her mom, obviously that was a challenge deal. Yelena, we know that story from Black Widow. The part that was hard for me and why I don't want to say disappointed, but was just kind of like at the end of it all, while it was entertaining to watch, it's not one that I would necessarily go back to. It doesn't, I think about Loki and I think about even WandaVision, what those two series mean for the greater
MCU as a whole.
Yeah.
Their impact on the MCU at large is so much bigger than Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Hawkeye, really.
Yeah, and that's where I guess that's for me why I just can't put it in that same class.
I have to agree with you on that. I really do.
Yeah.
Now, however, that's not to say this does not have any impact at all. And the reason why I say that is because Maya, the deaf girl, she's actually probably going to get her own show.
Oh, really?
And not only that, but in the comics, she interacts with both the Kingpin and Daredevil quite a bit. Yeah, so the ending where basically, spoiler alert, Kingpin gets shot.
Yeah.
He actually goes blind for a period of time, and she's the one who shoots him. So what I'm thinking is, with regards to her TV show, they're basically going to have her as the main character with Matt Murdock, Daredevil, as like a possible side character / sidekick, with Kingpin being the villain. And that show is basically going to deal with the impact of her shooting Kingpin in the face. Because in the comics, he gets blinded from that gunshot. Okay. So I'm thinking that's what they're going to do. We never saw it.
We just heard the shot.
We just heard the shot.
So she said that. No, I guess that was the other part for me, and I don't know the comic book storyline like you do. Kingpin, really being introduced. I know that Hawkeye had referenced him, as the big guy throughout the series, but really we didn't see him until the final episode. Essentially, the second to last episode and the final scene, and then
exactly.
And then so it just didn't feel as compelling.
I mean, for you,
yeah.
As far as I'm aware, you haven't watched Daredevil, right?
I have not.
Yeah, I would say for fans who actually watched Daredevil, it was a lot more compelling just to kind of see him actually be introduced into the MCU proper.
Okay, so this is not an out of left field character. This is
not an out of left field character.
Yeah. So that makes more sense. It really does, and maybe I'm not giving it its full justice in terms of what it could mean going forward. Yeah. Obviously, with Maya.
So I mean, to be fair, you are right. I would say the scope and the impact of those shows, especially WandaVision and Loki in particular, they definitely have a much greater impact on the MCU at large than Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Hawkeye, like I just said. But overall, I'm not going to sit here and say that Hawkeye doesn't have an impact, because it will. It absolutely will.
Two questions, and I'm curious your thoughts here. We saw it throughout the film, I think even in the first, throughout the series.
Yeah.
We saw it in the first episode where they were after the Watch, from the Avengers compound. And then we see it at the end, Hawkeye handing it to his wife, and it looked like, was it a Captain Marvel symbol on the back?
It was the Shield Eagle.
Was it the Shield Eagle?
Yeah,
I caught it sort of in a glancing deal, and I was just curious, what significance does that have in your mind? Because I wasn't picking up whatever pieces they were putting down.
For me, I feel like they're referencing that she's a SHIELD agent, or a former SHIELD agent, and maybe she might have a future superhero presence, if you will.
Even Hawkeye's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking they're putting down, honestly.
Okay. Well, I just, in that light, that actually brings me to my next question, because, when that Watch, the whole Watch deal was happening, we got introduced to the dog, Lucky.
Yeah.
And they kept going back to this dog the whole series.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if there was some, subtle play. The dog had one eye. So of course I was thinking about Fury the whole time. I'm like, what is the tie here? But they never paid any of that. Is that something, am I just totally reading into that incorrectly?
Honestly, I feel like you may be onto something. I looked at that dog and I never thought anything of it. Maybe you're right. It could lead to nothing, but I think you're right. I think it will lead to something.
They kept the thing in every episode, and they kept talking about it. And I thought it was peculiar that they would cast a dog who had one eye.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a cute dog. There's nothing wrong with them, and there's nothing wrong with a dog that's got one eye. But I thought it's an interesting.
But now you say it. It is an interesting plot thread, really, just to keep emphasizing if you're not really going to follow up on it.
And the dog was introduced when you're saying, this watch that belonged to somebody. I guess it must have belonged to her.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And Marvel tends to do things intentionally. Yeah. I feel like, and it seems like there had to be a reason for why they would do
absolutely.
that. But I could just be reading into it and searching. But no, Matt, it was, again, in all, I thought it was Jeremy Renner. It was good to get a deeper dive into his character.
Because when we really stop and think about it, the last time we had something this deep from him was really Age of Ultron.
Yeah, we got a glimpse. You're right, but we did get a glimpse into it a little bit, in Endgame. Yeah. You got to see where he had gone from a Ronin standpoint, emotional standpoint, and then what he was dealing with as a result of the Soul Stone, Natasha Romanoff deal. But you didn't really get to flesh that out. And I also find this interesting, and I'm curious your thoughts. I don't know how we're doing on time, but he's really one of the only characters that represents a whole family. He's got this whole family unit. Yeah. A lot of our other characters, I think about, whether Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, all of these have don't represent that family, that nuclear family dynamic. And I'm just curious, I don't know. I'm just curious what the MCU is trying to do with that. If we're going to see Lila or some of his other kids, grow into some type of different role.
It's possible. It is possible.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess because there wasn't anything in your face like, the Sacred Timeline in Loki or some of the stuff with, WandaVision, none of that was really in your face in this series. I guess I'm just kind of digging for some what could be deeper, plot.
Fair enough.
What else? Anything else you want to touch on here for Hawkeye?
I think we're pretty much good because really, I mean, we pretty much covered all the main points that I think the show really tried to convey.
Yeah. Well, what's next, Matt? What's next in terms of the MCU as far as, content coming?
Moon Knight is coming, or at least I'm pretty sure he's coming because I know that show's been confirmed. She-Hulk is definitely coming, and I think Matt Murdock might actually be in that show too.
Okay. What's our next feature film hitting the box office? Do you know?
I want to say it's probably Doctor Strange.
And the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Sometime this spring.
Yeah, I want to say it's probably March, sometime in March.
That sounds right. That's going to be awesome. I'm really
hyped for that movie.
I think other than that, Matt, if you don't have anything else, we can sign off.
Yep. Night Bros Commentary, signing off.
See you guys.